Jennifer from Mindful Movement, Mindful Living, and today I am reporting live from my tent in the woods. We are tent camping right now. So if I look like I've been living in the woods for several days, it's because I have. We're on, I think, day 5 now, up in the woods in Maine, and we're having a great time, loving it. And since we're here, living in the woods, sort of top of mind for me, of course, is natural living and, you know, how we live in our modern lives versus how maybe we were designed to move in nature, right? Because right now I'm spending a lot of time really in nothing but nature. So I want to talk about not so much natural movement in the sense that, like, when I'm teaching maybe a movement class, where we're thinking about, I think a lot of times when we think natural movement, we're thinking about sort of the big hunter-gatherer movements, right? We're thinking about maybe sprinting or climbing or hanging or jumping, those types of movements. But today I think I would like to spend a little time thinking about and talking about natural non-movement, really, in a way though that still affects us very, very much, our physical body, our muscles and our joints, and how we move during our day. So just thinking about sleeping. So we have been sleeping in a tent for several days, and I actually love sleeping outside. So it's been great, but it's definitely different than most of us are spending our time sleeping in our homes. You know, a lot of us are sleeping on beds. I have a bed too. So, you know, beds, we won't be sleeping on, you know, a lot of cushion, maybe using a bunch of pillows, that sort of thing. So all that stuff affects our bodies, right? We're spending maybe 6 to 8 hours at once on sleeping, right? On our bed or whatever surface we're sleeping on. That has a big effect on our body physically, right? So how we feel when we wake up in the morning, how we're moving, how we're not moving. So so I noticed several years ago that when we were tent camping for several days, I just felt like I moved better, and I woke up in the morning feeling better. Sometimes the first day, not so much. It was like it was a different feeling, right? I could feel like my body had a different experience during the night, and then it felt great. So we've been sort of, over the last few years, I've been sort of working on kind of getting towards more of that alignment while I'm sleeping, even in my house. So while we're here camping, we're sleeping on, we're in a tent, and we don't use air mattresses or any of that type of stuff. We just use either nothing or I don't know if you can see here, but just like a yoga. These are just like thin yoga mats. So these are great to just put down underneath, and that's really, you can see here, that's all the cushion that I use, if that. So, and really at home, the same thing. So just, no, sorry, I don't sleep on a yoga mat, but using the same idea in that I'm trying to put as little cushion as possible, but under me, so that I don't wake up in the morning feeling like it's this big shock that I'm not suddenly on a big cushion in my body. So there's so many sensory things I can feel, you know, as I'm sleeping and kind of moving around in my sleep. I can feel like little pebbles underneath, and kind of the ground isn't totally level, and that sort of thing. So it's just a little bit of texture, really, while I'm sleeping, that I would not be getting if I was on a non-natural surface, especially something like a really plush mattress or something, right? And then so what I started doing is really trying to, even at home, really sleep on like a firm surface and start to really take some of that cushy comfort out of sleeping. And I'm definitely someone who used to sleep with a bunch of pillows. I've cut that out. And so now I usually sleep without a pillow, or if I do use a pillow, it's a very, very thin pillow. So actually I have one here, which is, so last night I didn't use any pillow, but sometimes I'll use like a thin pillow. So this is just a little thin camp pillow. It actually like folds up pretty nicely too if you're camping, for trying to save space packing. But also, if you can see, it's really thin. So it does give you a little something, but not much. So this is nice too. It's not affecting me so much. Basically, my positioning, if you think about it, if you were sleeping on the ground, how we were all sort of designed to sleep originally, right? How much are you changing that by sleeping in your bed or whatever you're sleeping on at night, right? So basically I'm just trying to not change that any more than I can avoid, really. So, so sleeping on the ground is great. So I'm sleeping on the ground, just a little pad or nothing, and same thing, just a little skinny pillow or nothing. And I have to say, I feel great. I feel really good. Now, that is to say, if you have been sleeping on a really plush, comfy bed with 3 pillows, this is going to be a big change for you, right? So you don't necessarily, it's not necessarily the best idea to go from sleeping on a really plush surface, mattress with big pillows, all of a sudden to sleeping on the ground. That your tissues need time to adapt, your body needs time to adapt. So always really taking that into account and really being mindful and gradual and listening to your body as you're making any sort of change like that. So it's a great idea to really consider and be mindful of how you're sleeping and how that affects not just your sleep, but also your body, your joints and your muscles and your tissues as you're sleeping. So just being really mindful about that, and then just making adjustments as are appropriate for you at this time. So, just a little thought on the non-movement piece of things, because sometimes it's so easy to think about movement and sort of almost like a workout mentality of what can I do to change my physique or how I move or move better or be able to move more. But sometimes it's just take a look at the things that are not moving also in your life, because that can make a big difference. That could be 6 or 7 hours of your day versus the 1 hour you have to move or whatever. So think about that as well. It can make a big difference. It's these little things that sort of add up to really our overall wellness. So just being really mindful whenever we can about all the things, including sleep and how we're sleeping. So hopefully that gave you something to think about. I'd love to hear from you too on what you do for your sleeping alignment. If you have any little hacks for camping, sleeping, or for at home, just to help keep you more aligned and feeling really good when you wake up in the morning. So I hope that was a helpful little thing to think about. I'm sorry, there was just a tractor going by on this dirt road near us, so I had to pause that for a moment. But anyway, I hope this video just helped you to maybe just be a little bit more mindful about how you're sleeping, not just how long are you sleeping or how well you're sleeping, but also physically. What is your positioning? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? How are you able to move throughout the day? And maybe just noticing ways that maybe you could change that a little bit to make you feel a little bit better. So, and I'd love to hear from you too on what do you sleep on and how do you sleep? I'd love to hear from you too. So hopefully that helped you just be a little bit more mindful about your sleeping, and hopefully you have a great night's sleep tonight. Thanks so much.